We mentioned exploratory testing in some of our previous videos. Now let's dig a bit more deeper into what exploration is and how it matches the Agile testing and how it is the best, as they said, it is the best couple that can make the Agile and exploration. So let's see what Elizabeth Hendrickson says about it in her book Explore It. She gives a pretty nice definition that fits quite perfectly and describes what exploration is. She says that exploratory testing is a style or approach of testing in which we learn about the behavior of the system by designing a small test, an experiment, executing it immediately, and using the information gleaned from the last test to inform the next. Basically, this means that in the exploration, the design, execution, and the review of the test results happen at the same time. And not only that, but based on the information from the review, you're going to design the next test. Basically, this means that when you think of a small test, for example, let's take a text box, and you say, okay, let's put some equivalence class value. It could be letters or numbers, any value. And you see that the program functions quite okay. So you performed a very small test and then you decide to bring in the next test. You have not observed any inconsistencies in the program. Then you're going for the next. Okay, what happens if we put no value to it? That will be a boundary value analysis test. No value? Okay, let's see what happens. And we observe what happens next. Maybe there is an error message saying that we have to fill this field. Okay, so we have to fill it. Let's fill it completely. Let's put the maximum value of the input in that text field. That will be our next test based on the results from the previous ones, and so on. She also says in the learning part that we are simultaneously learning about the system while designing and executing tests, using the feedback from the last test to inform the next. This is a bit shorter definition. So in the testing community, there has been lately lots of talk about checking and exploring, or checking and testing. There is some nice definition provided by Michael Bolton about what check is, Michael Bolton and James Back, about what check is and what test is. They worked really hard to actually define, to put a difference. There is a difference between check and a test. Basically saying that a check is something that a machine can do that does not involve important intellectual or any intellectual activities, while testing does involve intellectual activities. It involves observation, thinking, sometimes deep thinking, designing, and so on. But we should not go to the extremes. We should not say, okay, if exploratory testing is so powerful, then let's forget about the scripted testing. Let's forget about designing test cases, writing test cases, or writing checks. No. All testing is scripted to some degree, and all testing is exploratory to some degree. Based on the project, based on the context, this degree will be more or less on one side or the other. For example, in a rapid system where you have to deploy, for example, every week, and the product will last for maybe 2 or 3 months, like in marketing projects, the scripted testing will be minimal to none. There will be practically no test cases because no one will care about those test cases. We will just perform the exploratory testing. But in a different project, in which we could say there is an evolutive process in the project design and the project will last for many years, it is thought to last for many years, then yes, we will have some scripted tests. Someone will take time to write some maybe acceptance tests, the acceptance criteria tests, or different automation checks. So we will have some scripted testing, but we will use the exploratory testing to improve those, to go beyond, like we said in one of the earlier courses. For the most of the time, you want to go beyond the obvious while testing. And that's where the exploration takes place. In Agile teams, both things happen simultaneously. We have automated checks, especially on the Agile goes really strong on the automation, and we perform exploration. We want to have good automation checks in which we don't have to spend too much time with the maintenance. In the next course about the automation, we will see how the maintenance can sync the project. And we want to have enough time for the exploration because changes happen so fast. We don't want to spend too much time into automating something that will change in the next week. We want to automate those things that we know are not subject to change, or we don't care if they change. We can very easily ditch or change those checks. And we want to have as much time as possible for the exploration. This means that in the exploratory testing, each small test is an experiment. You can take it as an experiment. There are many failed experiments. There are many experiments that don't reveal an important information, but they do reveal some information. They say that, okay, experiment I conducted did not reveal any bug, any flaw in the system. It doesn't matter. I'm going to feed the next experiment with the knowledge of the last one until I eventually display some flaw in the system. So certain organizations or certain schools of testing say that exploration is something trivial, something easy, like an ad hoc testing, non-planned, non-systematic testing. But the truth is that maybe they have little knowledge about the exploration. Maybe they don't know, maybe they're afraid of doing exploration because it is so hard to do. Good exploratory testing is extremely hard to do. That's why we have to train, that's why we have to learn a lot about good exploration. Bad exploration is very easy to do, and therefore many organizations falsely think that, exploratory testing, that's not something we do, we plan for our testing. Well, you guess what? The exploration is planned also. Good exploration needs to be planned, needs to be systematic, needs to be followed up. So, what exploratory testing is not? It's not Turing. It's not after we do everything else. It's not tools-free testing. Exploration uses lots of tools. It's not quick tests. We can spend many hours doing exploration. And there is a nice link on the Michael Bolton's blog on Develop Sense. There is a series of small blog posts about what exploratory testing is not. You can see the link for the part 1. There are links within to the part 2, 3, 4, and so on.